In this video, I'm giving you some mindful nutrition tips from one of the wisest plants on earth, ayahuasca. Now, if you watch this other video, which is part of my plant medicine playlist, then you know that ayahuasca is a calling. She chooses you. And considering that you say yes, she's going to ask you to make some sacrifices. And in return, she will be your guide and give you access, unlike any other. So in November of 2021, I traveled down to the Amazon rainforest in Peru for a 21-day retreat with ayahuasca, y'all. Now, 3 months before heading down south, I was asked to commit to the Ayahuasca Diet, or the Dieta. Now, the Dieta is a specific set of guidelines on what to eat, what not to eat, and what not to do. Whew. So this Dieta asked me to abstain from all types of things. Meat, seafood like lobster, crab, shrimp, fatty fish like salmon, all the dairy, eggs, processed foods, oils and fats, salt, sugar, spices, peppery foods, and alcohol. So lucky for me, I have been plant-based for a while, so doing 50% of this was very easy. And plus, I had gotten a series of several colonics to assist in the cleaning. But the salt and the sugar and the seasoning, ma'am and sir, what are we cooking if we don't have those things? So the Dieta also asked me to abstain from marijuana, cigarettes, prescription drugs, recreational drugs, masturbation, sex, the news, TV, and social media. Now, considering that I don't do the majority of the things that was on that list, and I was single at the time, this part wasn't too hard for me. So I was able to comply with the Dieta in that form. But the food, y'all, that was a little challenging. If you've been tuned into the Mindful Plate for a while, then y'all know that I love a good seasoning. Hot sauce is always around, and salt amplifies the flavor. And honestly, at the time, Sugar and me were having some personal battles, and she was always winning. So when Mama Aya, aka Ayahuasca, asked me to do this dieta in preparation to spend time with her in the rainforest, I was like, okay, well, I can do 80% of this, but that other 20%, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to give it to you, sis. You're gonna have to work on me, because what is food without fat, without seasoning, without salt? I mean, ma'am, what are we eating? But let's be clear. Before the ayahuasca ceremony, you are going to be asked to clean out, because if you don't, you will suffer the consequences. Here's the thing. The Dieta is strongly advised by the shamans because it makes your ayahuasca ceremony easier. Ayahuasca goes in and she cleans up house. And the less that she has to clean up in your physical body, the more she can go in and work in the mental and the emotional and the vibrational bodies. But if you come to her with loads of gunk, like a clogged up toilet, well, she's going to have to clear you out first. And that can look like you spending your ceremony purging in the form of vomit or poo. Lots of it. Now, mind you, this is not to say that if you adhere to the Dieta with strict obedience that you're not going to purge. You will. However, you're going to be purging on the mental and the emotional and vibrational levels. And for me, it was super important to come as clean as I could, y'all, because I really wanted to allow Mama Aya to help me work on my root-ish. Because let's be clear, I came down to get some work done. Now, y'all remember how I told y'all that I was kind of like, whatever, I'm only going to do 80% of what you asked, so you just going to have to work with me at that level. Well, in my ignorance, what I didn't realize at the time is that the Dieta is ultimately an opportunity to practice surrender and sacrifice. The Dieta allows you an opportunity to give up your comforts. So the comforts that you find in food and weed and alcohol and sex and TV and social media, it wants you to give up those comforts so that you can get rid of what is distracting you from yourself. Because once you get with ayahuasca, there is no running away, honey. It is you, yourself, and grandmother Aya dealing with all the things that you previously turned to, the other things, to escape. So while the Dieta may seem optional, it really isn't. Do it. So now that we've covered the Dieta before ayahuasca, what does it look like during the process when you were doing ayahuasca, drinking ayahuasca, in ayahuasca ceremonies? Well, I have heard other people say that the food in the dieta is very bland, it's nasty, it's tasteless, it's boring, blah, blah, blah. I'm here to tell you that for me, it was delicious. It was so good, y'all. I chose to retreat with Lotus Vine Journeys at the first ever Black, Indigenous, People of Color Ayahuasca retreat. Shout out to Spring Washam. And our meals were included. So that made it a lot easier for me to be with the medicine instead of trying to figure out, okay, what should I be eating? Should I not be eating this, etc. And y'all, they serve fantastic meals. And the meals were saltless, low carb, raw and cooked plant-based food, produce rich. I really thought that I was going to miss the flavor and the taste of salt, but the natural flavor of the organic food was so cell nourishing, mind expanding, heart opening, that it was one of the best food experiences of my life. And I'm so grateful that I chose to journey with Lotus Vine Journeys because they made it so accessible. They outdid themselves, y'all, at every meal. So I typically started my day off with fresh fruits and loads of fresh Amazonian spring water. And since I was in a tropical climate, I didn't want heavy foods to weigh me down. So eating watery, light foods were very helpful. And especially when you have the medicine in your body, it really helps to kind of keep you in tune. Lunch and dinner were filled with vegetables, y'all. Vegetables galore. Veggie kebabs, grilled veggies, raw veggies, chopped veggies stacked with sauces, veggies turned into sauces that you then added on top of the more veggies. I have never overjoyed veggies the way I did in this retreat, y'all. They were creative with the presentation. It was colorful. It was beautiful. It was tasty. And since we couldn't have salt, they were like, let's help you out. So they added a briny element to every single meal. So that meant that there was either olives or limes or some sort of tangy salsa to really help with the flavor. And then they also offered carbs, which are generally in the form of potatoes, plantain, quinoa. And surprisingly, there was a sweet treat at the end of every meal. And that really expanded my definition of dessert because they were out there turning oats into brownies and cakes, chia seeds and avocado and quinoa and fruits into puddings. I was like, this is creative. And considering that I purged sugar while I was out there, I did not eat much dessert. However, I took note, y'all, because I wanted to learn how to make some of these more naturally sweetened desserts so I could bring them here to you in a future video on the Mindful Plate. But having said all that, while I was enjoying all of this, y'all, I couldn't help but wonder, how in the world am I going to continue eating this way when I leave the Amazon and return? I truly wanted to stick with it though, because one, it actually tasted good to be detox food. And two, my body was working so efficiently, y'all. I hadn't felt this way since I was a teenager. I'm talking come through wellness, come through energy, come through vitality. I was experiencing all of it. So I was like, okay, how are we gonna maintain this? So in my ceremonies, I would ask Mama Aya, what do I do? Well, the beautiful thing about working with Mama Aya is that she's gonna answer your questions. So in all of her wisdom, honey, she told me how to do it. And I'm going to share 3 of them with you. So whether you decide to do ayahuasca or not, it doesn't matter. Just following these 3 eating principles can help you create healthier eating habits that sustain both your body and the earth. Let's get into it. The first eating principle she told me, eat what I offer. In other words, eat what grows from the land. Y'all, the earth that we live on is constantly offering food. Every season yields a different crop. Each crop is designed to feed your body what it needs to prepare for the upcoming season. It is one of the most brilliant and divine designs, and it has the capacity to feed everybody and everything. Contrary to capitalist belief, you don't have to labor for this, y'all. Food grows naturally without your intervention. And if you don't believe me, just go take a walk in a park or a forest or a rainforest or a naturally preserved land and you will see there is food everywhere. Now, it may not be food that you can eat, but there is food to sustain all life. And even though we don't have to labor for it, y'all, we do have to respect it. And we got to be sure to maintain the lands that the food grows on. So this means not poisoning it with litter or chemicals because, y'all, if we poison a land, she can't feed us. So how do you apply this eat what I offer eating principle if you live in a city? Shop at farmers markets, shop at health food stores, and look for brands that value earth. When I was in Peru, I was nourished daily by the fresh mountain spring water. It was so hydrating, so good for my skin. So when I returned to New York, I wanted to continue that. Well, as it turns out, a good friend of mine's family sells a living water called Splendor. Now, you may be wondering, what is a living water? It is essentially an unprocessed water that is sourced directly from nature, and it has all the minerals that your body needs for nutrition. Versus tap water, which is generally processed, treated with chemicals. Sometimes it's stored in rusty pipes and it's chlorinated. But Splendor is a living water, honey, that comes from Ecuador, and it has been filtered for centuries through the basalt and lava of the Cotopaxi, which is one of the world's oldest volcanoes. So I know that when I'm drinking this, I'm literally getting the true earth minerals in my body, which I need to sustain my life. But by supporting brands that respect the earth, it allows me to honor this principle as well as honor myself. So I recommend eat what the earth offers. The second eating principle Mama Aya told me, this is a good one, y'all, was remove criticism and critique from your plate and replace it with compassion. Now, this is for my people who like to label their eating lifestyles. They judge others for what they eat or what they don't eat. And those people who tend to eat their feelings. Mama Aya told me that compassion is an ingredient that we should be eating regularly. The thing is, food isn't judgmental, right? It has nothing to say about you. Its only job is to go into your body and offer its services in the form of healing nutrition. Food wants to love you. Food wants to restore you. However, if you're busy judging your plate or everyone else's because they're not making the same food choices as you, you're missing a point. You're missing a point. So focus on shopping and meal planning and prepping and cooking and eating with compassion, y'all. That's the key ingredient. The third eating principle she told me was put the plants inside and let them be your guide. She helped me get clear on how much wisdom plants had. They have been here on this earth longer than we have. As a matter of fact, when humans arrived, the plants had already been thriving. They were programmed specifically with their own genetic code to create and maintain and even take away life. They have the ability to heal and kill depending on what you eat. And by now, y'all, we have had enough generations of humans on the earth to help us identify which plants are best for our well-being and which plants are not. Ayahuasca, being a plant herself, helped me see how infinite and how far down the rabbit hole plant wisdom goes. And she said that if you eat the plants and you let them be your guide, a lot of the ailments and the diseases and the sicknesses and the discomforts and the frustrations and the challenges that you experience physically and mentally and emotionally and spiritually can be healed, transmuted, and transformed. So eat the plants, y'all. So to recap, y'all, before, during, and after ayahuasca, it is important to eat as close to the earth as possible. Our bodies are designed for earth's food. The vitamins, the minerals, the fibers, and other nutrition are what your body needs and uses to help put you back together again. And the dieta works in tandem with the medicine of ayahuasca to clean and clear and restore you. So whether or not you choose to do ayahuasca is up to you. But I do pray that these 3 eating principles will serve you, that they will serve as a guide for you at your next meal and every meal thereafter. And if you want to know more about ayahuasca, if you're a little curious or you've been considering it, especially as a plant medicine, and you want to hear about my particular experience, check out my plant medicine playlist, which is linked below. And if you want to learn how to prepare vegetables and fruits and nuts and seeds and all of God's good green earth and make them in the most palatably pleasing ways, then you need to buy my cookbook, y'all. I mean, if you've been watching this channel, then you know that that's what we do, the Mindful Plate. In there, I have all the plant-based recipes rooted throughout the African diaspora, and that's linked below as well. Until next time, y'all, eat well and be well.